The Dark Knight, not only one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, but arguably one of the greatest movies ever made. A movie packed with unforgettable performances, sharp writing, and some of the most iconic moments in cinema history. Now, just like my last Lord of the Rings video, I will be doing something that no one else has ever done before, at least that I could find, and ranking every single character from Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. How this works is we will look at every single character that is listed in the credits, then rank them from worst to best. And with The Dark Knight, there are a total of 92 characters we will be looking at and ranking. From the streets of Gotham to the top floors of Wayne Tower and right down to the chaos of an exploding hospital, let's dive in and find out who really steals the spotlight in The Dark Knight. 92, Maroni's Mistress. I don't know, just kind of seems like an airhead and the most irrelevant character to the entire plot. 91, Evans, Lav's lawyer who already seems so defeated this early into the game. 90, Crime Boss. Kind of seems like he's trying too hard to be intimidating with that smug look. 89, Man Number 1. Even though he knew this explosion was coming, he still jumps. 88, Man Number 2. While I don't support his involvement in the murder of this judge, I like his style of looking in the rearview mirror of a pretty cool explosion. 87, Thug at Party. Okay, he has a shotgun to an unarmed dude, and rather than be smart and pull the trigger, he squeals when Bruce disarms him. 86, Reporter. Only way I can describe her, she seems a bit of a Karen, but does make a valid point. 85, Fox's Secretary. Lucius is a pretty cool dude, so I imagine his secretary is pretty cool as well. 84, Passenger 4. She sort of makes a good point that there's no time to vote, although she gets completely ignored. 83, Male Guest. Just a guy trying to find some company at a high-end party. 82, Female Guest. Just a lady trying to get frisky at a high-end party. 81, Judge Friel. While we don't see much of him, he's got to be a pretty honest judge for running the trial against the crime lord Maroni. 80, Warden. Okay, this has got to be the most cowardly act by anyone in the entire movie. Giving up the detonator to blow up hundreds of innocent people because you're too scared to die? Come on, man. So satisfying to see his disappointment in the end. 79, Chuckles. He's got some serious stones to attempt pulling off this heist, but definitely seems the least valuable of the 5 clowns. 78, Drug Buyer. Just doing his best to get some drugs on this night. 77, LSI VP. Seems like a pretty good host. 76, Cop with Fat Thug. He probably deals with scum on a regular basis, but it's kind of annoying that he completely ignores this dude's pleas for help. 75, Passenger 3. Just trying to get the ball rolling on saving their skin. 74, Wirtz. A perfect portrayal of a true piece of trash. He's a corrupt detective who doesn't give a crap about anything else but himself. 73, Berg. Look, I get it. He's scared his wife might die, but his reasoning for trying to blow Reese's brains out in front of his boss never made any sense to me. Honestly, he's a bit of a coward if you ask me. 72, Honor Guard Leader. For being a crook, he seems to blend in and do the job very well. 71, Hong Kong Detective. You can tell he's trying to do his best to help Lau, but honestly, just looks confused this entire time. 70, Bounty Hunter 1. Able to pull off a pretty clever trick against a crime lord. Nice move, man. 69, Cop at Hospital. Let's be real here. This cop quickly and clearly communicates valuable information to Gordon in a short amount of time. 68, Junkie. Somewhat entertaining to see his brain fried. This is why you don't do drugs, kids. 67, Cop Heckler. No more dead cops. Preach, brother, preach. 66, Passenger 2. Just a civilian who knows how to get things moving forward quickly. Also, plays Cobb in Band of Brothers, so bonus points there. 65, Ferry Officer. It's sad, man. I get it. You believe you're about to be blown up, but you're surrounded by hundreds of hardened criminals. Not a good look for you, man. 64, Assistant DA. Anyone who is willing to try and put a crime lord behind bars must be respected. 63, Drug Dealer. This dude's got some common sense. No sense of risking it when you see the Batman light. 62, Passenger 1. Another regular Joe thrown into a difficult situation, just trying to handle it the best he can. 61, Convoy Leader. I've always been disappointed with his quick thinking. It's obvious this obstruction was meant for you, man, and you clearly see that there's a big gap that you could probably drive through, completely foiling the Joker's plans. 60, Gamble Bodyguard 1. Just seems like a loyal bodyguard, though he sucks at his job, clearly. 59, Corrections Officer. It's always annoyed me that this officer just stood by silently, letting the warden be convinced to do the wrong thing, but he's in a tricky situation. I get it. 58, Cop at 250 52nd Street. A K9 officer Joker. Love those guys. 57, Dopey. I love tech stuff, and this clown seems to know what he's doing. An important asset to this amazing heist. 56, Engel. Ask me 10 years ago where he would rank, it might be a little bit higher. I'm just kind of sick and tired of journalists, to be honest. So 56 it is. 55, Acting Commissioner. Filling in for running the entire police department. That's a pretty big job to fill. Not for the faint of heart. 54, Officer at Intersection. I honestly feel bad for this cop. Truly do. Just trying to enforce the law and gets a shotgun to the face. 53, Nurse. This nurse knows how to get things done and clearly cares for her patients above all else. 52, Prisoner on Ferry. Gives off the vibe of a criminal with genuine remorse. And look, another Band of Brothers actor. Love Sergeant Talbot. 51, Guardsman. Anyone who serves in the military deserves respect. We just don't get to see much more of him, unfortunately. 50, Honor Guard Man. Another military man, but unfortunately we see him at his most vulnerable. Poor guy probably wet his pants several times over again. 49, Gordon's Daughter. Gordon is an awesome character. His daughter is probably cool too. Yes, nepotism is at play here, folks. 48, SWAT Leader. This guy knows how to run a complex operation. 47, Civilian. Dude, I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you for speaking on behalf of Gotham's citizens. 46, Bartender. I respect this bartender for recognizing that Wirtz should have been out helping during the chaos in this city. 45, Medic. No duh, there's some sort of contusion. But hey, you're a first responder who is simply just trying to help those who need it. 44, Murphy. Honestly seems like a good cop, but who really struggles when under pressure. You really think that giving the Joker a phone amidst the chaos is a good idea? Sheesh. 43, Happy. Cracking into a safe is quite the skill. Takes some smarts, but he obviously didn't have the smarts to realize he might be the next to get a bullet to the head. 42, Polk. Another good cop falling victim to the Joker. 41, Mother. She makes a good point in her argument, but she gets pretty dark. Simply just trying to protect her kid though. 40, First Mate. He carries himself with confidence, seems like a great number 2 to the captain. 39, SWAT Sniper. I always love how this sniper realizes something is wrong. You can think, hey, he needs to do something about it and get involved, but he's just got his orders to follow. 38, Armored Car SWAT. SWAT men are cool. Seems confident and fully capable of handling himself. 37, Judge Cirillo. Any judge willing to take in 549 criminals at once obviously shows a serious passion for upholding the law and ridding the streets of crime. 36, Heckler. Okay. If I'm being completely honest, this Heckler ranks quite high on this list simply because he delivers the line with so much passion that it comes across as comical. Love this dude. 35, Businessman. Of all the characters up to this point, he is the first one that takes some serious pondering and reflection in understanding this character. He's clearly a confident man, talks the talk, and maybe even walks the walk outside of this boat. But when it comes to taking the life of hundreds of others, even criminals, the weight of carrying that burden hits him and he caves. A good lesson that taking a life is a heavy thing to live with. 34, Gentleman at Party. Even though this old man was already knocking on heaven's door, he expedited that process by telling off the Joker and his thugs. Gotta give him some credit. 33, Fat Thug. I feel bad for him. He's in so much pain physically, but also so much pain mentally. Probably was trying to find a way to help with his mental illness and instead came across the Joker. Messed up the way he goes. 32, Natasha. At first, one may assume she's just a good-looking gal with no valuable input, but listening to her conversation, she seems like she's a smart cookie. 31, Rossi. This dude is so smug, doesn't give a crap about what happens to him, and is probably a great stand-up comedian. 30, Gamble Bodyguard 2. Seeing this dude's face as he's listening to the Joker's crazed monologue with Gamble is amazing. You can clearly see he is fearful, but also in shock of how insane the Joker is. I like to think he's the one who wins this fight in the end. 29, Bounty Hunter 2. Of all the Joker's henchmen, he seems the most passionate in the Joker's beliefs. Looking at his eyes, you can see he is almost as insane as the Joker. 28, Barbara Gordon. This mother is just trying to do her best to protect her children. She goes through a lot of trauma throughout this movie, so her response to her husband is quite understandable. 27, Prison Ferry Pilot. Don't have much to say other than he seems like a seasoned captain and a pretty good dude. 26, Ramirez. She was originally ranked way lower on this list, but after more reflection, one can understand the difficult situation she's in. Her mother has health issues, she can't pay for them, and due to this, she succumbs to helping the mob to help pay the bills. Clearly, she regrets getting involved with the mob, not trying to justify her actions by any means, but it's easy to see that she's a decent person who, due to her decisions, found herself between a rock and a hard place. 25. Bank Manager. This dude has no fear. Look how calm and collected he is as these clowns run in with guns. He even kills off one of the clowns and stands there like a hero from an action movie trying to protect the mob's money. However, while he is fearless, he lacks some common sense, which leads to his defeat. 24. James Gordon. Nepotism at play again here, folks. For almost dying, he seems to shake it off like a champ. 23. Reese. Now, he's not a character we respect, but his greed, arrogance, and cowardly demeanor is quite enjoyable to watch, especially when Lucius completely shuts him and his plan down. Why he wasn't immediately fired, though, beats me. 22. Lau. Like many other villains in this movie, Lau is a confident and intelligent businessman, although corrupt, and his power and wealth make him a great asset for the mob. However, it is quite satisfying to see him also cower in fear once he realizes he's no longer in control. Sucks that he got a shot to the face here and burned to death though. 21. Guard Commander. I have a lot of respect for this guy. For being thrown into this very difficult situation, he handles it as best as he possibly can. He's empathetic towards the civilians and their desire to have a say in their fate. And amidst all this chaos, he's able to maintain order and prevent things from getting way out of hand. Seems like an all-around good guy. 20. Grumpy. The last of the heist clowns, Grumpy is the wisest of them all. He's quick enough on his feet to pick up that he'll likely be killed. He's the first to run into the bank, and although it's kind of hard to tell here, I'm pretty sure he took some shotgun pellets to the shoulder, yet pressed on as if nothing ever happened. If he wasn't so unlucky for being in the wrong place at the wrong time at the exact moment, he'd probably be the only of the clowns to make it out of there alive. 19. Mayor. Honestly, I have mixed feelings here. He seems passionate to fight crime and is willing to fight against terrorist demands, but he also seems a little arrogant and full of himself. The reason he ranks way higher than others is because he seems like a genuine good guy who wants to wipe crime out of the city. 18. Gamble. I sure as heck wouldn't want to get on his bad side. The fact he's willing to fork out $1 million because some loony with clown paint insulted him is not the type of guy I would want to mess with. He's intimidating, unpredictable, and is a good portrayal of a frustrated mob lord who is at his wit's end. 17. Loeb. We don't see a whole lot of Commissioner Loeb in this movie, but I respect his attitude towards crime and threats. He's a no-nonsense guy, shoots it straight, and gave his life trying to make the city a better place. 16. Passenger ferry pilot. Like the other ferry pilot and the guard commander, this guy is forced into a position he never intended to be in, but just does the best he can to do the right thing. Even after everyone voted to blow up the prisoners on the other boat, and even though he's being pressured to pull the trigger on it, he makes it clear he will not pull the trigger, even if it means he ends up dying too. 15. Brian Douglas. We remember Brian as a scared Batman wannabe who met a terrifying death with a Joker. But let's not forget, he's a good man who, like Bruce Wayne, is sick of his city being filled with crime and is willing to become a vigilante himself to save his city. While I don't have confidence in his ability to do so, and I don't agree with some of his methods, I respect his desire to fight crime. 14. Shotgun SWAT. During this intense scene, he provides some good, relatable comedic relief, but also appears to be a capable SWAT with some common sense. 13. Joker's Thug. In all seriousness, this actor portrays complete lunacy on camera perfectly. You can see how he finds amusement, experiences anxiety, fear, and sadness all in the same moment. For only being in this movie for a minute or two, watching him is pure entertainment. 12. Tattooed Prisoner. What a redemption story, and we don't even know what he has to redeem himself from. His physical presence, demeanor, and persuasive words are enough to convince this sad excuse of a warden to hand over the detonator to save their skins. But he instead recognizes that the lives of innocent civilians shouldn't be risked and takes it upon himself to make it impossible for any of the criminals to detonate the bomb. 11. Maroni. His smug, confident, and vibe of constant amusement is so captivating. One thing that must be mentioned about him: after Batman calls his bluff and Maroni screams like a little girl and is in agonizing pain for breaking his leg, he is still confident and smug enough to tell off Batman. Yes, he finally answers Batman's questions, but he still speaks his mind and doesn't completely fold to Batman. There's a reason he took over the mob after Falcone was no longer in charge. 10. Chen Chen. He is a master of taking advantage of situations. Chen Chen is the only one to recognize that the Joker is right and that the mob is failing because of Batman, and hiring him is the only way to gain control of the city again. So what does he do? He secretly backstabs the entire mob, backstabs Lau, and helps the Joker's plans. Whether it's smart or complete self-preservation, he takes advantage of the situation to better his circumstances. Although, he should have just set aside his pride in the end. 9. Scarecrow. We see much more of Scarecrow in Batman Begins and some in The Dark Knight Rises, and part of his high ranking is due to that. But let's be honest here, we all love the Scarecrow because Cillian Murphy does a great job at playing this character. And although we do see very little screen time of him in this movie specifically, he's a villain that almost took out Batman single-handedly and is a force to be reckoned with. 8. Stevens. In a city where there's so much corruption, bad cops, bad detectives, selfish leaders, and just crime everywhere, Stevens is that little bit of hope and reassurance that there still are good people. He wants to get things done, fight crime, and help clean up the city. Yes, he does get outsmarted and totally manhandled by the Joker here, but that was a weak moment. And can you really blame him? The fact he went over the edge to beat up the Joker actually shows how much passion he has in fighting for good. Just an overall good cop. 7. Rachel. She's confident, has a restless desire to put criminals behind bars, is great at keeping secrets, and like other heroes on this list, isn't afraid to put her life on the line. And while it may be a bit annoying to some that she chose Harvey over Bruce, you actually have to give her some serious respect for not waiting around for her lifelong friend, potentially delaying her happiness and moving on to something she feels is better for both herself and Bruce. Side note, coming from a man whose wife is quite comedically sassy, Rachel's sassiness is a bit charming and attractive as well. 6. Harvey Dent, or Two-Face. Yes, he turns into a twisted and bitter villain at the end, but he ranks so high because he's a great representation of how even the greatest of heroes can become corrupted and torn down, if not careful. What makes him so compelling isn't just his sharp moral code or his idealistic hope for a better city, but how devastatingly human he becomes once that hope is shattered. Aaron Eckhart delivers a performance that perfectly balances righteous charm with terrifying vengeance. Even after his transformation into Two-Face, part of you still aches for the man he was, which makes his descent all the more powerful. In the end, he truly was that hero that Gotham needed, not the hero Gotham deserved. 5. Lucius Fox. Lucius is the quiet genius behind the bat, bringing both brains and heart to Bruce Wayne's war on crime. We all love how witty Lucius is, his wisdom, his charm, and his absolute confidence in himself as a person. And not in a cocky way at all either, just that he is confident with the person he is. I mean, even in the scene when Lau is ticked off that his time was wasted, Lucius responds with humor, charm, and kindness. Another thing that must be respected about Lucius is he stands by his morals and beliefs no matter what. His decision to leave Wayne Enterprises as long as the Big Brother spying machine existed shows once again his confidence in his beliefs and who he is as a person. Just a good man who always seeks trying to do the right thing. 4. Commissioner Gordon. He doesn't have crazy fighting skills like Batman, he isn't large in stature, and he isn't even really an intimidating looking dude, but his honesty, determination, kindness, and example commands the respect of his fellow law enforcement officers. The chemistry between Batman and Gordon is a unique one, and while others frown upon the vigilante Batman's involvement, Gordon recognizes the value of Batman, trusts Batman despite all the pressure he's feeling, and just always seems like to be on the same wavelength as Batman. On top of all this, Gordon is quick on his feet, knows how to adapt to continuously changing situations, is a loving husband and father, patient, and assertive when he needs to be, and the perfect man for the job in helping Batman save Gotham. 3. Bruce Wayne, or Batman. The man, the myth, the billionaire, who could have spent his days partying on yachts and buying hotels, but instead chose to become Gotham's silent guardian. What makes Bruce so great isn't just the fancy gadgets, the suit, or the martial arts skills. Yes, we love those things about him and his never-ending physical grit to push his body beyond the limits, but the reason we truly love him is because deep down, he's still just a man carrying the weight of his past, trying to stop others from feeling the same pain. He knows he'll never truly have a normal life, but he's okay with that if it means making the city better. His self-control, discipline, and willingness to let others, especially Harvey, take the spotlight for the greater good shows how selfless he really is. And even when the whole city turns on him, even when he's left absolutely physically and emotionally broken, he still shows up. Bruce Wayne is proof that being a hero isn't about the mask, it's about the choice. 2. Alfred. What's not to love about Alfred? He's almost like a grandfather figure to Bruce, but at the same time, he's a trusted advisor and loyal friend, someone Bruce has complete confidence in. His wisdom and insight are not only just as valuable as Bruce's, but sometimes even more so. Sure, Batman's the one who's out there doing the heavy lifting, but when it comes to understanding people, especially someone like the Joker, Alfred sees the bigger picture long before anyone else does. While Bruce, Gordon, and the rest are scrambling for answers, Alfred is the only one who truly understands that the Joker isn't after money, power, or revenge. He's just a man who wants to watch the world burn. On top of all that, Alfred has the best sense of humor, is smart, loving, witty, endlessly patient, and the best advisor and partner Bruce could ever ask for. And number 1, the Joker. Was this ever really a question? Any real movie fan has Heath Ledger's Joker somewhere on their all-time favorite characters list. What he did with this role was nothing short of historic. Sure, a lot of credit goes to Christopher Nolan and his brilliant writing, but even more credit belongs to Ledger's remarkable performance. He's the kind of villain every hero dreads facing because he has nothing to lose, no regard for human life, and no real motive for his crimes other than pure enjoyment. What makes the Joker truly terrifying is his mind. Over and over and over again, we see how brilliantly he anticipates people's moves, manipulates their choices, and always seems 5 steps ahead. Just when you think you've backed him into a corner, you realize, uh-oh, he's been in control this entire time. And like so many great villains, there comes a point where the audience can't help but start rooting for him. Not because we approve of his actions, but because his perspective on life and the points he makes to Batman and Harvey actually start to make some unsettling sense. On top of all of this, his dark sense of humor somehow makes us laugh even as he horrifies us. The Joker is captivating to watch, fascinating to listen to, and downright brilliant in the most twisted way. He's one of the greatest villains ever put on screen, and we absolutely love to stand behind him. Well, there you have it, folks. Every single character ranked from The Dark Knight. I'm sure there's some disagreement with where specific characters rank, and if you do disagree, drop a comment letting me know where you disagree and who your favorite or even top 3 favorite characters are from this film. If you made it this far and are still here, I just want to say thank you for sticking around, and go ahead and leave a like if you enjoyed this video. And if you'd like to continue seeing more of this type of content, go ahead and subscribe and maybe even leave a comment on what movie, trilogy, or even TV show characters you want to be ranked in the future, and we may add that to the list. Anyways, thank you again for all the support and for sticking around for another Too True SMEG review. Until next time.